All right. This is the 71st episode of the Runnin My Mouth podcast. I am your just exhausted host, Aaron, and allow me to run my mouth for a little bit, probably a long bit, because we have a lot to talk about because I've been away for, 3 weeks instead of 2 weeks? Or however many weeks it's been more weeks than normal, basically. And gosh, it feels like I've been going everywhere, doing everything. Um, but now I feel like I get to chill for a little while, for maybe like a week and a half, maybe. I don't know. Let me look at my calendar. Maybe like 2 weeks. I get 2 chill weeks before I feel like things are gonna like ramp up again. But yeah, we have a lot to go over. So I will try not to dilly-dally. However, I wanted to mention, and I only know this because youtube.com reminded me, but it's been 3 years of me doing the Runnin My Mouth podcast. And unfortunately for you all, I don't really have anything very poignant to say about it, aside from the fact that I think it's been cool that I've been doing this thing for 3 years, and it's still fun. I still like doing it. And like with all of my hobbies, I will continue doing it as long as it's fun. And thankfully for me and for the people who enjoy this podcast, which, part of me is a little surprised that people enjoy this podcast, but people do enjoy this podcast. But luckily for the both of us, it remains fun. And there was just some thunder outside. It's so crazy. I was like, oh man, it's gonna rain today. And it didn't rain all day. And now there's thunder outside while I'm trying to record. I've had better luck in this apartment versus my last apartment with power outages. I think there's been like one since I've been living here, and it's about to be a year. I just renewed my lease, which, by the way, my rent is going up only by $35, which I suppose is a good thing because I thought it was going to go up by like 100 or 150. But thankfully only $35. So I was like, you know what, whatever. I'll stick with it. And also, I've done the market research, and it's weird out here for a renter. It's pretty much always been weird out here for a renter, but I feel like especially now, it's weird out here for a renter. Like, not to get all catastrophe, but I feel like there's only going to be maybe a couple of years, which is crazy to say this out loud, but I feel like as the thunder rolls outside, I feel like I've maybe have a couple more years of being able to afford living on my own. And I'm not going to think about that anymore. So anyways, it's been 3 years of the pod. I think that's really cool. Will I be doing this for 3 more years? I don't know. Really hard to say. There's really no telling what I'm going to be doing in 3 years. But as for right now, I have been doing this for 3 years. And I think that's cool and I like it. So I'll mark that off. I guess I should just go in chronological order of when the things happen. So I think, when did the last episode even come out? April 29th. Okay, yeah, that was right before Muddy River Madness, and I, of course, went to Muddy River Madness in Vicksburg. Made a little jaunt down I-20. Yeah, I-20 down to Vicksburg for Muddy River Madness. There wasn't one last year. There was one year before last. I don't know if I knew about it at that point. I'm not gonna lie, this thunder is starting to freak. Literally, as soon as I hit record is when the thunder starts. That's so rude. That's so rude and so nasty of Mother Earth to be doing that. But anyway, went to Vicksburg, and I wonder, let me see. I did take pictures while I was there. So the pictures from Muddy River Madness. Oh, I can hear the rain. Oh, this is weird. I don't know. This is so weird. Okay, anyways, the pictures from Muddy River Madness are on my Instagram if you would like to see them. I wasn't there for the whole thing, which I feel like recently, and this is all self-inflicted, of course, but I feel like when there's like a festival, I get kind of flustered because it's like, oh, I need to be there for the whole thing. I don't need to be there for the whole thing. I was not there for the whole thing. I wasn't there for the whole thing of Couch Fest. I came there a little bit later in the day, and same for Muddy River Madness. I came right at the beginning of Gravemember set, which was great. Let me just go and, because I mean, this did happen a couple weeks ago, so I do need a refresher. Actually, hold on. I don't have to go there. I can go here, I think. Hold on. Here? Yeah. Hold up. Let me go up. All right. I just needed to look at the schedule. So I got there right at Gravemember set. Great set. And then after him was Beneath the Kudzu. And I'm not gonna lie, I really do like seeing Beneath the Kudzu live. I saw them live last night. We're gonna get there though. We're going in chronological order. Okay. So I have, okay, I'm not gonna lie, this is like, this is gonna, I don't think it's picking up on the mic, but this is about to be the spookiest episode of this podcast ever, because the rain is getting kind of crazy. Like, the thunder is like getting real crackly, and I can hear the wind. This is crazy. Okay. Anyway, what was I saying? I love seeing Beneath the Kudzu live. I have their CD, and I also wrote a review for that album, Birds Sing as the World Crumbles. It's on jacksonunderground.com if you'd like to read it. But they were great as always. And also the way that this worked out. So it was at the BB Club in Vicksburg. This is so disconcerting. Like, that had to have come through. That was loud. Anyway, this is going to be the haunted episode. It was not, well, no, it is dark outside. It was a dark and stormy evening as I sat down to record the pod. Anyway, what was I saying? I forgot. Oh, BB Club in Vicksburg. It's got like kind of two rooms. There's like a bigger room in the back, and then like a medium-sized room in the front. This is so, I did not know it was going to start raining like this when I sat down. And it's going to be so hilarious if none of this gets picked up on my mic or after I do the editing to the audio, because then I'm just going to be pausing randomly for like nothing. Anyways, there were two rooms in the BB Club in Vicksburg. And so they had, they kind of traded off. It went really smoothly. Like, as soon as one set ended in one room, a set began in the other room. So it actually went really on schedule. Like, it was very on schedule, which I was talking to, and I'm going to forget his name. I'm so very sorry. But the drummer for Beneath the Kudzu, who, him and some other people put it together, he was like, yeah, it was surprising how on schedule everything was. And so after Beneath the Kudzu was Dreams Without Color, and of course, love them. Oh, and I got a sticker. Hold on. I have things. I remembered this time. I was given the sticker. It's nice and long. It says, oh, and I'm holding it upside down. It says, hold on. It says Dreams. Oh my God. Dreams Without Color. Slay. What the heck is that sound? Oh, wow. My blinds are closed, but I can kind of see oh, yeah, it's really windy outside. Anyway, I got a sticker from Dreams Without Color. I didn't really buy much merch here at Muddy River Madness because I was sort of in between paychecks and I was trying to save money. But I did get a sticker. Wahoo. After Dreams Without Color was Jethro's Skull. I'm trying to remember. I want to say, I can't remember where they were from. These were regional bands. We had some from Jackson, from Vicksburg, but also I want to say like Louisiana, Alabama, Arkansas, maybe I'm misremembering. I want to say there might have been one from Arkansas. But I remember them being very good, but I'm trying to remember, are they the ones where the vocalist came out with like a bat with barbed wire on it and like smacked himself in the head, and then he started bleeding, but then stopped bleeding, which, I mean, you're supposed to stop bleeding after a while, so that's not necessarily the surprising part, but I did get that on film, so that's in the picture compilation that I took. I'm 99% sure that was Jethro's Skull, like 99%. And also one of them was wearing like the guitarist, or maybe a bassist. I think it was the guitarist, was wearing a luchador mask? Question mark. And then after Jethro Skull was Direwolf. They were pretty good. They were very, from what I remember, like very traditional, like thrash metal. And by that, I mean, you know, like 80s style stuff, like your Metallica, the big four. I'm not gonna remember all of them. Hold on. Metallica, Anthrax. I don't remember the other two. Megadeth. That's the third one, I think. That can't be Pantera. Hold on. I'm gonna look this up now. Big four thrash metal. Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, and Anthrax. What did I say? I said Pantera. Yeah, it's definitely not Pantera. Yeah, so kind of like that. And I didn't find it unenjoyable, you know, not exactly my flavor of metal that I usually go for, but, you know, I thought it was great. After Direwolf, however, was this band from, I want to say Alabama. They were called Hexus. Hold on, I'm going to look them up because I want to be correct. But I am 85 to 95% sure they are from Alabama. But I would like to talk about them because I found them exceptional. Hold on. Hexxus. Oh, it doesn't say. That's unfortunate. Well, no, I think they are from Alabama. Yes, they're from Birmingham. And it was this, first of all, it was so loud. Like the loudest band of the night. Like I was, of course, wearing my eargasm earplugs because I never go anywhere without them. Well, I never go to shows without them. I go places without them, but not to shows. I go to shows with my eargasm earplugs. But it was still like loud. And it was like in the smaller room, but still, it wasn't like completely closed off. It was exorbitantly loud. Like, oh my God. But they were a mix of like sludge metal and like progressive metal in a combination that I never heard before. And I was like, oh my God, this is like the best thing I've ever heard. Like that was definitely, I would say Hexus, aside from Who Closed Out the Night, The Sky Imposes Its Will, Hexus was definitely a standout for me during that show. And I want to see if, let me see. I wanted to know if they had 2010. Oh no, this is from Seattle. That's not who I'm talking about. Yeah. Doom, sludge, and post-metal. They are from Birmingham. They have an Encyclopedia Metallum page, so you know it's legit. Oh, they do have a full length from 2016. Oh, I didn't see this before. Wait, are we sure this is the right one? Well, it's on Bandcamp. That's not a link, though. Hold on. Buy from eBay. No. Okay, that's just an affiliate link. Okay, so apparently they do have a, if this is the same band, they do have a full length from 2016, which is great. However, there's another band called Hexus with 2 U's and 1 X instead of 2 X's and 1 U. That is sludge and thrash from Dubuque, Iowa. Oh, they're on a Weedian compilation. So that's cool. Well, hold on, I could probably find a link to their band camp. No, I cannot. I cannot find it. Never mind. Hold on. Well, okay. What if I just looked it up? Is this it? Well, that's Discogs. Oh, here we go. Yeah, yeah, that's them. Slay. Okay, they do have, I was about to hit play. By the way, I finally got speakers for my computer. I had speakers before, but they were like these bookshelf speakers, and now they're connected to my stereo system in my living room, and now I have actual speakers. I was about to hit play. I'm not going to do that because it will absolutely come through the speakers. However, I am happy to know, oh, they have an 11-minute track. Wait, they have, the first track is 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 57, so almost 6 minutes, almost 7 minutes. The shortest track on this is like 4 minutes and 12 seconds, and then the last one is 11 minutes and 40 seconds. This is from 2016. I need to listen to this. Is this on streaming anywhere? I highly doubt it, but I'm gonna look anyways. You know what's crazy? I just opened up Spotify, and I don't know when they started doing this, and it's kind of pissing me off, but whatever. There's like an ad at the top, and I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm just too chronically online, but I remember when Alex Warren was a fake David Dobrik, and now he's got like a lot more going on with just the blandest music ever. But we're gonna move on. Hold on. No, it's not on there. It's probably just on Bandcamp. Honestly, I'll still listen to it. So yeah, that was definitely my standout, my secondary standout from Muddy River Madness. It was such a great set. So super very loud though. So super very loud. Totem was after them. I did not have much that stood out about them, which is deeply unfortunate. But after Totem was Plague Burner, and they of course did a phenomenal job. I do really like Plague Burner. I probably should listen to them a little bit more. They have some shows coming up. I want to say here in Jackson. By some shows, I think I mean like one show or two. We'll get to it when I get to my calendar. And then closing out the night was my goat, Palmer Shires, as the Sky and Positsville, and I got stickers, not at Muddy River Madness. I got these last night at the show that I was at last night, which is not the Sky and Positsville show. I think this is right side up. Yes. So I have this one in blue, and by the way, these are like some really nicer quality like vinyl stickers, and I have the same thing in red. Boom, look at that. And then I have this big rectangular one. That's a good one. And I've talked about the Sky and Positsville. I think I made a short about it, but I'm gonna talk about it again because why not? Okay. Just deep, ambient, crushing. Those are the three words that I would use to describe that set. And it was really set off because this was in the big room, right? And so by this time, pretty much all the equipment is out of there because all the bands that have like, drums and stuff have gone. And it's just Palmer and his guitar and of course his pedal board. So it's set up with like a rug and like all those like little LED like tea candles like spread out. And then of course by then it was like 10 o'clock. So it was dark. It was nighttime. So it's completely dark in there. And there's like these two, you can see the picture. I have more. Of course, I didn't post every picture that I took because I didn't edit every picture that I took. But just this blue and purple light and green, I think, coming out from like behind a speaker cab, I want to say, and then like a fog machine that like filled the whole room with like fog just to like set the ambience. And it was, I am not even lying, like probably one of the best things that I've ever seen. Like that set compared to the Sky and Positsville sets that I've seen, which I think only two previous times, that was like nothing else, truly like nothing else. And I don't know what to say. I loved it so much. Like, it's really hard to even capture something like that in a recording, whether it be like a video or like a studio recording. Like, that truly is something that you have to see live. And it is a little unfortunate that, he doesn't perform in this project very often. If it were up to me, I'd be seeing it every weekend, but it's not, but yeah, that was the perfect way to close out the night. You had a mix of your traditional metal, you had some doom metal, you had some, doom prog, you had some synth stuff, interestingly. Not really modular with Gravemember said. He had some like different industrial stuff. But to close it out with that was just perfect. I don't know how else to say it. It was just perfect. And I had so much fun seeing all the bands and taking pictures. It was a basket of fun and I love it. And I hope they have it next year. If the economy hasn't totally collapsed by then, I would like to see it. I would like to see Muddy River Madness another year, next year. So that was that, buckets of fun. Ooh, why did I put 3 right here? Literally 2. And so after that, literally the next day, so that was Saturday the 2nd. Sunday the 3rd, there was the doubleheader show. Now, at that point, where had I gone? I hadn't gone anywhere because I was going to go to Memphis that previous week, or what would have been that same week I would have gone. I didn't. I just took off work and I just stayed home. But I was thinking, because, I'd spent a good chunk of the day in Vicksburg. So I was like, do I want to spend another good chunk of the day just like out and about? Because, like, I have a home that I need to maintain. Get away from me, fly. I have a home that needs maintaining, and, sometimes I get tired. And also, this is another one of those weekends where I'm just like inexplicably tired. Honestly, that was like 2 or 3 weeks in a row that I was like that. But anyways, we're gonna move past that. I did miss I guess Face Rot wasn't on that show because they broke up, which I'm pretty sure I talked about that last episode. And if I didn't, Face Rot is no more, and I am mildly sad about it. They did release, I feel like I did talk about it. Hold on. Did I put it in here? I mean, I didn't put it in the description. It has been a while. Either way, Face Rot is no mas. They had a really good run, though. And, I could have seen them going kind of far. But life's. And sometimes you just gotta move on from things, So that's kind of really all there is to it. But anyways, they were supposed to be on that show. They got replaced by Skinny Brag, I want to say. But Claymore, Skinny Brag, Numg, and Wretched, which I have wanted to see Wretched since they popped out at that church show, which church shows are back. I mean, that happened weeks ago. Why didn't I go to that one? Oh, I was out of town. I was legitimately out of town that time, I think. I don't know. Or I was doing something. Or I just wasn't there. I truly don't know. But they were at that show as well. I don't know if they have any upcoming shows. I mean, we're gonna investigate it when I get to my calendar, which I'm like 99% sure is like all up to date. But being that I was out of town, the week before last, there is a chance that I've forgotten some things. That happens. But from all reports, all the videos that I saw, it was a pretty good show. And it was at Vibe Studio, which is perfect size for moshing, by the way. I would know because I did it there. But in the afternoon, there was Throw and Mugshot, Vomit Forth, and Your Spirit Dies at Hella Mouse. And I was there. I got there, honestly, pretty early because I wasn't really sure what to expect. Because Throne, they have gotten, I feel like, and this is going to come up with another topic on this list, but I feel like Throne is very much an r/metalcore band. Even though they are technically a hardcore band, there is some crossover in that subreddit. And, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I was introduced to a lot of music through the metalcore subreddit. That, of course, wasn't strictly metalcore. I mean, I think I started listening to Periphery because Stranger Things got posted there. I started listening to Danza because Rudy X3 got posted there. So I'm not really trying to dump on the metalcore subreddit, but I will say, given that it is a pretty large subreddit with a decent amount of, subscribers, there's and people on the subreddit complain about it too, which is the funny part, but there is a bit of an octane core nature to some of the music that gets posted there. But also, I haven't really been listening to the things that have been posted there, so it's like, could I really say that? But also, I mentioned this before, but Throne was just a band, and I don't really listen to oh my god, go away, hide announcements. I don't really listen to anything Spotify generated anymore because it's just it's not good. It's just not good. Like, their algorithm is just pee pee poo poo, caca doo doo. I don't know how else to say it. Like, it's just not good. And then, is there a little payola going on? I mean, I think it's like an open secret maybe that there might be some payola going on with the Spotify algorithm and their playlists, which is also why I kind of don't want to engage with them anymore. But the weird thing about Throne is that they were getting thrown into pretty much every heavy music Spotify playlist that there was, and they got a lot of listeners based off of that. And I mean, that's fine, but it's just compared to some of the other bands on the bill, even though Throne was technically the headliner, I will say maybe they, and it wasn't an unenjoyable show. Let me just put it that way. It wasn't unenjoyable. I just found it somewhat generic. And that's okay. Because some people like that. I might not, though. There were people there who wore Throne shirts. There were a lot of new faces. I'll say that much. There were a lot of people who were there who I'd never seen at a show before, which I'm going to count that as a win. I literally sat and talked to this kid who was in college who had never been to a show before. This is his first show because I kind of spotted him immediately because number one, me and him were like the only two black people in the room. So like, yeah, I'm gonna spot the other Negroes in the audience. But he looked kind of lost, low key, and that's not shade or anything. He just did. And I was like, I've never seen this kid before. I don't know if he's from here or what. He looks a little lost. I'm gonna go talk to him. And so I did end up talking to him. And this was like his first ever show, not even just here in Jackson, like period. Never been to a concert before ever. And so I'm gonna count that as a win. I will be the first person to evangelize for the scene here. I will tell people like, hey, you like stuff like this? We have stuff like this every weekend, more or less. Every other weekend, sometimes multiple shows per weekend. And if you don't want to spend, because I really don't know how much these Throne tickets were, they weren't that much though. If you don't want to spend $35, you can spend $10, come to CS's and see like 3 great bands, which is literally what I did last night. So it's like, I will forever be evangelizing for the scene because the more people show up, the more people, number one, are showing up. And also, low-key, the more people are starting bands or like musical projects because, I mean, that's kind of been the side effect for me. I am not starting a band, but I did just sneaking this in the middle here, making an Instagram for some musical things at Alexina _ ALEXZEENA. Oh my god, I confused myself. _ I have one little clip there, which is very unserious. But I am genuinely wanting to make some ambient stuff, trying to see what I can do. I've been trying to learn Ableton, which is, I was gonna say needlessly complicated, but it's just complicated because I was literally using Cakewalk. So it's like there's a big leap. So, and also if we're detouring, I acquired a drum pad. I'm just gonna put this in the middle here. I acquired a drum pad. I bought it off somebody for $75. I think this is like an older model, and it definitely sold for more than $75 when it was out. But the thing about it that I didn't really look into before I bought it, and it's not really that big of an issue, is that this basically has DRM. Like, you have to register the serial number, and if it's already been registered, you gotta like contact the person to transfer the license to you. It's honestly kind of lame, but I have it, and I've been forgetting to reach out to the guy who sold it to me to do that, so that's kind of on me. But either way, I can use it in MIDI mode, and I was trying to figure that out last night, and I was going to figure it out today, but I took a nap. Anyways, all that to say, back to the Throne show. I guess we'll go in order. Who's on first? Hold on, I can check this. Wait a minute. Okay, never mind. I can check this. Who was on first? Who is this? Your Spirit Dies. And they're from South Carolina. And they made a little comment like, oh, it's so good to be back in the South. The bartender called me baby. Like, this is my home. And I was like, yeah. South Carolina. We're cousins, sort of. They're pretty good. I like them. I did have my camera at the show, and I thought I took some good pictures, except for throne, but we're going to get to that. It's the reason why they look like that. And then after that was Vomit Forth. Where are they from? I forget. Hold on. I feel like I might have included this somewhere. They're from... Actually, don't know where they're from. That's crazy. But something kind of insane happened during Vomit Forth's set. So, this is a hardcore show. Like, all the bands were more or less hardcore bands that were playing here. So, of course, the moshers were gonna mosh. And if you're gonna be in the splash zone, you're gonna get wet. However, I will say the crowd didn't really activate until Vomit Forth, because Your Spirit Dies, they were going, but I feel like nobody was moving, which is kind of weird. Like, wake up, and it was interesting because honestly, I feel like though, a lot of the like Jackson moshers didn't really show up until maybe like right before, right before the show actually started, and maybe they were perhaps a little bit tired from the show earlier in the day, so they had to like rest up, because these shows happen like right after another, one right after another. That makes sense? Maybe not. I don't know. One after another. That's the phrase. Anyways, and so the crowd really didn't get active until Vomit Forth. And when they got active, they got, really active. And honestly, I would have been in there too had I not been holding my camera, but I didn't want to get which that's really funny because the photographer for, who was it? Your Spirit Dies, who also had like a wait, hold on. Okay, I know I took pictures of it. Maybe I did not edit them. Oopsie poopsie. The photographer for one of these bands, I want to say it was Your Spirit Dies, or maybe it was Vomit Forth. I cannot remember. Either way, they're in the pit with their camera, so maybe I just need to stop being a coward and get in there, camera notwithstanding. However, I will say, I do not want to put my camera in harm's way. I feel like I use it for too much. Like, no, thank you. I really don't want to do that. Also, my flash is just like so big and unwieldy, because the person who was, the photographer who was doing that, they had like one of those little compact flashes, and I honestly looked into it. It was a Viltrox flash, and I was like, do I want one of those? But the thing about it is that I shoot with my flash pointing at the ceiling to bounce the light off the ceiling, which ceilings that I'm shooting in are usually white, so it usually works, but sometimes it doesn't. Just to get like an even lighting that isn't so like directional. And the Viltrox flash does not angle. It's like only straight on. So it's like, I mean, if I was going to do all that, I might as well just use my on-camera flash. So like, Anywho, but yeah, like I was saying, the pit was active, and it was like, and I don't feel super, unsafe in the pits, because number one, I know what to do. And also, given that, the people here, they know me. They know not to spin kick me when I have my camera in my hand. So, I felt like I was, like, fine. But I will say, another really interesting thing, not only were there a lot of faces that I did not recognize at this show, wearing throne shirts that probably came from elsewhere in the state. Maybe they came from Louisiana, maybe they came from Alabama, maybe they came from Tennessee. I don't know. Probably not Texas, because I feel like they might have had a show in Texas. I don't know. There was this run that they had. It was kind of short, I want to say. Or maybe it wasn't. Actually, I don't think it was. It wasn't that. It was a normal sized run, so never mind. So probably not Texas, because usually when bands tour through the South, they go to Atlanta and they go to Texas, and then they say that's it, that's enough. Maybe they'll go to Nashville, but like, I'm not going all the way to Nashville, so that doesn't matter to me. Anyway, what was I saying? A lot of people that I didn't recognize, a lot of people, that I didn't recognize. I don't know why I had to say that twice. And I don't want to say for whatever reason, but there were quite a few older people in the crowd. And I'm not saying that older people can't be, hardcore fans, because I feel like a lot of the people that I know in Jackson's hardcore scene are above the age of 35, which 35 doesn't feel like older to me, because I am dangerously close to 30 now. Um, so like, the like 40s and older, I think. I don't know. Oh, the clouds went away. It got brighter outside. Huh, that rain didn't last very long at all. Hmm, wow. It was so dark just now, and now it's so bright. Huh. Well, anyways, but I feel like there were a lot of people who were there that would not normally go to a hardcore show, which begs the question. I don't know, man. Hey, listen, you can do what you want. You can go where you want. You can attend the shows that you want. But I feel like, certain genres do have certain crowds. And I felt like the crowd was perhaps a little incongruous to the genre. Anyways, there's this guy and his wife. And what's hilarious is that if you go on my Instagram, you go to the photo set of Vomit Forth, you can literally see the guy in the first picture. He's the one who is slightly taller, holding a beer in his hand. Him and his wife were towards the front. Not even towards, they were in the front. They were right at the edge of the pit. And there was someone who, as you do in a hardcore show, you kind of go around the wall, going at the wall. And this guy got really mad that I guess whomever had, struck, his wife. I'm saying I guess a lot because I saw it happen, but I also wasn't paying attention all that much, because I was also trying to watch the show and also trying to take pictures simultaneously. But the guy got really mad and started snatching. And by the way, it was a pretty young person who was doing this. Started snatching him up, and they had to like not everybody, but people like got involved, being like, "Hey, if you don't want to get wet, get out the splash zone," essentially. And so the vocalist for Vomit Forth, he wasn't on the stage to begin with, but he stepped forward being like, "Hey, if you can't handle it, you got to go to the back." Because that man got so mad, so very mad. And this was like 3 songs into the set. And then this is the second set of the night. And although it wasn't like super active during the first band, there was still stuff going on. So like I feel like after the first 2 songs, which I'm 90% sure is the first 2 songs, after you saw all of that going down, perhaps you would want to move to the back, because this man was pretty tall. It's not like you would have any trouble seeing. And it's like they could have gone back into the side, not by the doors, but by the, where the merch table is usually set up. That there wasn't a whole lot going on over there. So it's like you could have moved, but you chose to get mad instead. And maybe you just didn't know what was going on. And so eventually the vocalist for Vomit Forth, like, gets in the guy's face being like, "Hey, get to the back. Like, you're not gonna bully these people for, doing what happens at a hardcore show, right? You're not gonna do that." And it almost came to blows. Like, it was so insane seeing literally the guitarist, the bassist, and the drummer in unison drop their equipment and run over to what was happening. Thankfully, there wasn't a fight, although perhaps I would have liked to see it. Listen, I don't get to see white people fight. Like, if I'm being so honest, this is a rare experience for me. Maybe I would have wanted to see it just a little bit. Maybe I would have wanted to see it just a little bit. I don't get to see white people fight very often, all right? Just once, but also considering that this man looked very blue collar, I was low-key kind of worried. Like, there was a thought in the back of my mind, like, okay, this man just got basically little boyed by all these people in front of his wife/girlfriend/partner. Like, there is a non-zero chance that this man can leave, go grab his gun, the stick, the blicky, and come back. He didn't, though, and that's a good thing. In fact, he didn't leave at all. I remember after that set, I was, walking back to go sit down to, look at my pictures, and I saw him at the very back of the room, and I was like, interesting that you're still here. I perhaps would have left. But you know what? He was still there. He did not go get the stick or the blicky or the gun, and come back. Because, that could have happened. We do live in Mississippi. People do be having guns like crazy. Not even gone home. Gone out to the pickup truck that he was probably driving, But after that, honestly, it went fine. The guy disappeared wherever he went off to, probably the back of the room. And it was like kind of whatever, It's I have had evolving views on crowd killing. We have talked about this. I wrote my zine about crowd killing called No You Won't Die If You Can't Crowd Kill a 15-year-old Girl. And honestly, I did have a really balanced take in it. The title is the most inflammatory part of that piece of writing that I made. And my thoughts do still stand, but also at the same time, I feel like now there is some onus on the people who are in the crowd. If you are at a hardcore show and you're at a hardcore show and you see that things are getting active and perhaps you're getting a little bit too close, you do gotta move. Like, you gotta move. Like, you can't you can't get in the splash zone and be surprised that you get wet, Like, I didn't get hit or anything. I got collided into a couple times, but I wasn't like mad about it. Like, how dare these people crash into me while I'm standing right at the edge of this pit, like right next to the stage. Like, how dare they? It's like, yeah, I kind of knew that was going to happen. Like, I know I need to turn away so that I don't get a foot to my camera, and that's it. It is what it is, it is what it is. But yeah, that was Vomit 4th set. Honestly, they were really great, despite the fact that I can't remember where they're from. They did have a very, I don't know, I don't want to say local hardcore, but, it kind of had that sentiment that was great that I liked. And then after them was Mugshot. Love Mugshot. They were great. They did what they did. They did what they did. Put that on a shirt. Cause what? Yeah, this is my second time seeing Mugshot. They were fun the first time. They were fun the second time, even on a smaller stage and a more intimate crowd, no barrier, at Howlin' Mouth. So that was definitely a lot of fun. And I love seeing them again. And I still have my guitar pick. I didn't get a second guitar pick. I could have asked for one, but I didn't because I felt like that would have been greedy because I already have one. And then after them was, I suppose, the main event, which was Throne. And something that I kind of, I don't know, I got the I got the feeling that perhaps they were used to playing bigger stages because I felt like they had a lot going on, like on the stage. Like, if you've ever been to the Red Room of Howlin' Mouths, the stage isn't super big. It's not tiny, but it's not, as big as, I don't know, any other, 500 cap venue? I don't really know what a 500 cap venue looks like, unless you told me, like, hey, XYZ venue is a 500 cap, and then I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But I felt like they were just a little bit more used to playing bigger stages. They were fun. They had great energy. I will say, I brought my camera. I never have an issue using my camera or my flash at Howlin' Mouths, because, it's very local. The people there know me, so it's like, it's whatever. I'm basically doing free advertising for them. But they start their set. I turn my flash on, I get to snapping. One of their, stage hands, one of Throne's stage hands goes up to me and, taps on my flash and goes like this. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so obviously I'm not gonna, be weird about it. I take my flash off. And so I just had to shoot all my pictures for Throne on, auto everything. And that's why it looks chewed up it just looks chewed up. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, out of curiosity, I looked at the metadata on the pictures from their own set, and the ISO is 20,000. Oh my god. That is why it looks so crunchy, and not like in an intentional way either. It just looks crunchy. I mean, I feel like I'm confident in my abilities where I can make some shake, but I didn't really like the pictures from the set. I'm not even gonna lie. I did not like them, and I do really wish I could have used my flash, but I wanted to be courteous. I didn't really, I didn't make a thing about it, but something that I thought was like, okay, maybe one of the members is like sensitive to light sensitive or something like that. I don't want to be the person who is like being weird about it. So it's like, all right, I just won't use my flash. I've wanted to kind of expand my gear a little bit. I have the camera that I have the lenses that I have, but they're not super great. Well, actually, I don't know about my camera, but definitely my lenses aren't super great for low light. I'm looking here. I think it goes down to f3.5, and that's like at the widest. So what, 18? And if you go past that, I mean, like right now, my ISO is on f5.6, and that's the lowest it goes. And I could find maybe some in-mount lenses that go down a little bit more. They would be prime lenses, and I do prefer having a zoom. But yeah, it's a lens thing. I just need something that's like a little bit faster as far as the ISO, not the ISO, the aperture goes. But those fast aperture lenses are so expensive. Oh my god. I do not have the money. So that's why I have the flash, because then it makes things actually look good. But one of these days, I will have a lens and perhaps even a camera body that will allow me to do better in low light situations. Because for like really bright lit stuff, my camera does great. For dark things, not so much. So, at ease, but at ease. But that was the Throne show. Either way, despite all the wackiness, I had a lot of fun. Saw pretty much every hardcore kid in Jackson was there. So it was great. It was a lot of fun, and it was one of those shows where you go away just loving the scene and loving the people in it and just loving music in general. Even though there was no local support for the show, I still think it was a great show. It was a phenomenal show, and I loved it a lot. So that was that. Well, since we're talking about shows, I'll talk about the one that I went to last night, even though it's not necessarily chronological order. Where was I? There's 3 shows last night. First of all, let's talk about that. There's 3 shows. There's one at CS's, one at Urban Fox's, and one at Hal & Mal's. So there's John Worthy and Mostly Satire at Urban Fox's, Dead Sugar, the Akashic 45s, and Bass Jump at Hal & Mal's, and Lone Gunman, No Motive, Beneath it, which that's one band, by the way. Lone Gunman, No Motive from Arkansas. They're from Arkansas. Beneath the Kudzu and Bringing Down Giants at CS's, and that was the one that I went to last night. And so the first band, I'm so thirsty, oh my god. I had a nap a little bit ago, and I wake up just thirsty and confused, like every time. But not when I'm sleeping for 8 hours, only when I'm napping for like 4 or 3.5. So, I don't know what that's all about, but... First at that show was Bringing Down Giants. They were a band from Mississippi. Crazy way for me to phrase that. I don't know why I said it like that. They're from Mississippi. I don't know where in the state they're from, though. They're not from Jackson. That I can say. But where are they from? Like, actually in the state? I don't know. Hold on. Bringing. However, that being said, it was a new band, and it was their first show, but they were not new musicians. They had definitely been... Oh, they have a website. They had definitely been doing this for a while. Like, probably in previous projects. Is it gonna say where they're from? They have a .com. I wish you would load. Please load. Oh, they have, oh wait, this is a single. They have a single, it's called Vermiculate. Hold on, hold the phone. Oh. I'm looking at this cover art and I'm not even gonna lie. It does look a little bit AI generated. Yeah. Well, that's deeply unfortunate because they were legitimately a really good band. I really did enjoy them. But they have... Oh, okay. Anyways, does it say where they're from? Central Mississippi. Okay, they could be from Jackson, question mark. Actually, no, I think they, well, okay, I don't think they're from Jackson. They're probably from the metro area somewhere. Bringing Down Giants is a metal band forged in central Mississippi in 2025, delivering a fierce blend of thrash, death, and groove metal. Their sound is defined by fierce riffs, razor-sharp solos, crushing vocals, aggressive drums. By the way, their drum setup was great. I think, not all of the bands, but Bringing Down Giants and Beneath the Kudzu both mic'd up their drums, and I keep saying it, it makes a difference. Even when you're in a little itty bitty tiny room like CS's, miking up the drums makes a difference, and I wish more bands would do it. I know it's a really involved process, but people notice it. I notice it, at the very least. It really does make a difference. Anyways, yeah. So they have a website. It's bringingdowngiants.com. And, I sure would love to be proven wrong that this album art is AI generated, but my land, I mean, it does kind of really look like it, which is deeply unfortunate, again, because I did legitimately like the music. So, yeah, that's sad. But I was gonna say, what can you do? You cannot use AI generated art for your album, because it just cheapens everything else. Because I came away from that show being like, man, this band is great. I sure do wish they had some music. Clearly they spent a lot of time working on the music. You could spend a little bit of time hiring an artist. Like, I don't know, man. Anyway, all that aside, I did really like their set. And then, of course, Beneath the Kudzu. I've already talked about them. Always love hearing them live. And then Lone Gunman No Motive from Arkansas, somewhere in Arkansas. I was like, probably a little teeny tiny town in Arkansas. I was kind of expecting, especially when they wheeled in like 2 double stacks of like amps, like 2, I guess, I don't know the terminology, 4x4, or no, 2x2, I don't know, man. Like, you have like the big amp, it's a big square, and then you put another one on top of it. They had one for the guitar and the bass. I was like, ooh, I'm about to die in the pit. No, not so. It was just kind of hard rock-ish. It was good, don't get me wrong, but it definitely was not what I was expecting. Also, especially considering which I mean, show me someone in the scene who doesn't have one of these tattoos, and I have beachfront property in Arizona to sell you. Well, I guess technically I don't have any tattoos, but I feel like there's so many people with them 4 black rectangles somewhere on their body that's not necessarily indicative of the kind of music that they're going to play or the kind of music that they're into. In fact, I know a lot of people who have this tattoo, which I get it. It's really iconic, Black flag, the four rectangles, But why is that? I mean, I get it. I've listened to some Black Flag, okay? So, like, I get it. I understand. But everybody's got that tattoo. Like, what's another really common, like, musical tattoo that you will find on the average, listener of a certain genre. Because for punks, definitely. Punks and hardcore kids, because they kind of go together anyways. You're gonna see Black Flag. You're gonna see the 4 black rectangles somewhere. Might be small, might be big. Forearm, chest, leg. I've seen it everywhere. Sun tattoo. I've seen that on 2 different people in the sludge space. So maybe that. But I feel like those 2 genres are related. Like, are there the strawberry tattoo? I feel like Dance Gavin Dance fans definitely have the strawberry tattoo. I don't know what the strawberry tattoo looks like though. I've only heard of the strawberry tattoo. I don't know what it actually looks like. Which I could look this up. Hold on. DGD strawberry tattoo. Because have I seen this before? I mean, it takes different forms. It is kind of just a strawberry. Yeah, it kind of, it's not really a uniform style, but there's gonna be a Dance Gavin Dance fan with a strawberry tattoo. But what tattoos are the pop girlies getting? Are the pop girlies getting tattoos? Like, are the country fans getting tattoos like that? Are the rap fans? Which, I mean, that's far too broad, but walk with me. I feel like it kind of is maybe, well, I don't think it is limited to just punks. But I feel like if there is a person over a certain age, if you're over the age of like 35 and you are a punk or a hardcore kid or somewhere in there, there is a good chance that you have a Black Flag tattoo. Colin, we're standing by. Are you into heavy music? Do you have a Black Flag tattoo on you somewhere? I really want to make this confirmation, I feel like I just see it so often. And the guitarist / vocalist for hold on, let me go back. Lone Gunman No Motive had that tattoo. And I was like, okay. I don't know. I feel like everyone and their daddy has one of those. Except for me, of course, because, again, I don't have any tattoos. But if I were to get a tattoo, it probably wouldn't be Black Flag. Just because I don't have that emotional connection. Simply. If I were to get a band tattoo, honestly, I wouldn't. Because at the rate things are going, like, I would be no. Even if I wanted to get just like a little subtle 3 dots somewhere on me to symbolize periphery, I feel like even that could come back to bite me at some point in the future. So it's like, no. Like, no. I have consulted a friend to see if they have a Black Flag tattoo. They don't, even though they have a lot of them. So, I don't know. Could just be confirmation bias or whatever. Anyways, that was that show last night. And I've been talking for an hour and I still have so much to talk about. It's going to be a supersized episode for all you supersized episode lovers. I didn't even put this on the list. So let me just, boom. So, at break time, I wouldn't have been able to enjoy all of these shows that I've been to, these events that I've been to, without my Eargasm earplugs. And for a limited time, yes, I'm saying it, for a limited time, you have until August 7th, okay? Use my code JX10 to get 10% off on eargasm.com. Give yourself the gift of hearing, okay? Being deaf probably isn't great when you're a fan of music. Now, I will say, for some of these shows, you don't even have to be able to hear it. You can just feel it. But still, don't rely on that. Protect your ears. Protect your loved ones' ears. Protect your haters' ears, because how else are they going to hear you hating them? Oh my God. You know? Anyway, use my code JX10, get 10% off on eargasm.com. Now, I want this, okay, to be the last time that I mention this on the pod, all right, because we're so close. I have been checking. Hold on. I've been checking. And I need 4 more. I just need 4 more responses. What are you looking for? Oh God, almost knocked my mic over. What are you looking for? What do you want? Do you want a man with a black flag tattoo? Do you want a woman with a black flag tattoo? Do you want a non-binary person with a black flag tattoo? Well, what you can do is you can go. Hold on, I low-key forgot what to say. There's been a QR code up on screen this entire time. Scan it to submit to my zine Seeking. I just need 4 more, okay? After that, I will stop asking because I won't need any more, all right? I just need 4 more responses, and then I can actually finally start making it. Oh my God. And by the way, if you do respond, you will get a free digital copy of the zine. I don't know if I've been mentioning that. You will get a free digital copy of the zine sent to the email address that you put in the email address section. So make sure it is actually a real email address. Otherwise, you won't get a free digital copy of the zine. Anyways, you know, if you want someone who will let you make fun of them for having a black flag tattoo somewhere on them, you can put that in here. That's totally kosher. The only thing that I ask is that you do be over 18. Because you just gotta be over 18. That's all I'm asking. You know, it doesn't have to be sexual. It doesn't have to be romantic. You could just be looking for friends. You can just be looking for an unpaid, unlicensed therapist. I don't recommend that, but you can certainly do it. You can be an unpaid, unlicensed therapist. Again, I don't recommend that, but you can still do it. I really don't recommend that though. Like, maybe don't. But you can still do it. So yeah. Do that, please. I only need 4 more. I'm tired of asking. I'm tired of asking. I only need 4 more. I know there's 4 people out there who've been looking for an excuse to do it or something. I don't know. Just do it, please. I want to be able to make this. Honestly, no, I'm not cutting it off. I want 20. I just want 20. Please, please, please. Anyways. What was I saying? Oh, well, those are my ad reads. So we can kind of move on. What was I going to say? What's next? Okay, so the reason that I was out this past week and wasn't able to get the pod to you the previous weekend is because, and I know I just love telling my business on this here podcast, but I am going to try to refrain from doing so too much. I was out of town. I was getting flued out to Boston. As you know, it is graduation season. I think, well, there are some schools that go until like June. Just so crazy. I remember reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and I think Greg Heffley was in school until like June. I was like, what the heck is going on? But they started in September. So that's, yeah. That was my first concept of school starting in September, which is why sometimes you get those, especially when you're in elementary school, those like month. It's not a calendar. It's just the name of the months. And they'll have little illustrations to go with the months. And school, there would always be a school illustration in September instead of August when we started school. And then you got some schools that are year round, which that's crazy. We don't have time to get into that, but I don't think school should be year round. Hot take. As a former child, I just don't know how I would cope with year-round school. Although I will say, as someone who is in the workforce now, working year-round, I wouldn't say it's like a huge adjustment, but there are times where I'm like, man, I sure do wish I got like just a free week Just a week off of work. Now I gotta take PTO, you know? Anyway, we're not gonna get into it. What was I saying? I don't know. Oh, I went to Boston, because my cousin was graduating from the Berklee College of Music. And like I said, I'm not gonna tell all my business. But I will say it was definitely kind of emotional seeing that happening because, they have honestly worked so hard to get there. And I mean, I don't know how hard Berklee is to get in because, like, what is the acceptance rate? Berklee acceptance rate. Okay, the top thing is from Reddit. It says 50%. 55%. U.S. News and World... Hold on. For the 2017-2018 school year, this is Wikipedia, the acceptance rate for Berklee College of Music in Boston was 33.8%. For the Boston Conservatory, it was 38%. Does it have this up here? No. But either way, my cousin's graduating class was also like 1,600 people. That's a lot. But still, they honestly kind of put themselves through school, which is also, again, not nothing. Berklee is kind of expensive. Like, it is pretty expensive. And they fought so hard to get there. And to see them actually be able to graduate it made me a little emotional. I didn't cry. I did almost cry 2 times, though, so that counts for something. But, yeah, that was definitely... Yeah, that was major for my family, for sure. Especially given all the other things that was going on in my cousin's life. That is definitely so major. And I have nothing but good hopes for their future. I think they have a good head on their shoulders, which is a good thing. I mean, you kind of have to. They've kind of been doing it on their own, more or less, this entire time. So I think they're going to do great things. And I think it's really cool to be able to say I had a cousin that graduated from Berklee. Okay, I can brag on my family a little bit. And also I was thinking about it, there aren't really that, to my knowledge, musically inclined people in my family. I mean, there's me, but like I'm not formally trained or classically trained or anything like that. There's this cousin who did guitar and vocal, but also, did interdisciplinary studies, but focused on guitar and vocals. And then I have a cousin who was literally doing theater in Scotland. Same side of the family, doing theater in Scotland. I don't know if they're still there or not, actually. I follow them on Instagram, but I can't remember if they're back or not. But either way, before that, they were living in New York doing off-Broadway productions, singing and acting, and, doing stuff in other parts of the country. They had this one role in this play that I want to say was like it was a musical in like West Virginia or something that was reviewed really well. Also, again, just really great. And then I have a cousin on my mom's side that I want to say went to college for music studying the cello. So that's really cool. There's probably more that I don't know about. I'm not going to lie. As it goes for like second cousins, I don't have that many first cousins. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 on my mom's side and literally 1 on my dad's side. And that was the one who graduated from Berklee. But I have a cavalcade of second cousins. Like, my parents both have so many first cousins. Like, my dad especially. Because my dad had, I want to say, 12 uncles. 12 uncles and, like, 3 aunts. Like, and that was on his dad's side. 12 uncles and 3 aunts. So he's got hella first cousins. And then my mom just kind of has a lot of first cousins. Not really to the degree where it's like, innumerable first cousins, but there's a lot of them. And yeah, I don't really have that many first cousins. And it's kind of crazy to think about because I have a nephew now and he's not getting any cousins out of me. I'm so sorry. And he actually just recently turned 7. Crazy to think about. the passage of time, but he is not getting any cousins from his dad's side, and I hate that for him. That's really unfortunate. On his mom's side, not really sure what's going on over there, but his dad's side, he's not getting any cousins. And, you know, it is what it is. So sorry, nephew, but you're not getting anything from me. Hate to say it. Anyways, yeah. I didn't really get to do anything around Boston. It was surprisingly cold there, though. I will say that. We got there, it was like 44 degrees, 45 degrees. It was so cold. Oh my God. And my cousin was showing me this dress that they were going to wear to the graduation. I was like, man, that's it? You don't have like a jacket or anything? Like, it's cold. And they were like, I guess I'm used to it. And it's like, yeah, I guess you live up there, you get used to it. And something that I kind of maybe didn't realize, that Boston is more north than New York. Like, it's up there with Connecticut and Vermont, okay? Like, we're in Massachusetts, right? And it gets cold. It's probably still cold up there. Like, it went from 40 something to 70, which that was kind of insane whiplash, but temperature whiplash. But yeah, I did not get to see the Boston cop slide. I'm really sad about it. I didn't realize that I was in Boston where the cop slide was until I was in my layover coming back. So I didn't really get to experience the city as much as I maybe would have wanted to, but hopefully at some point I'll get to go back. But for now, that's that. What can I talk about next? We can talk about We can talk about Furnace Fest. That's coming back. That was announced. I can't remember, like a couple weeks, maybe last week, something like that. I think it was last week. That was announced last week, and I mean, we can go to it. It's, I think, on sale now. Yep. It's 2 days instead of 3 days. Last year it was like $300. This year it's $159. It says starting at $159, and I didn't really know what that meant. So it's $159 plus tax. And I guess you have these different add-ons. So you have okay, no, maybe not add-ons. And there's like ticket and hotel packages. And, you know, it was kind of up in the air what was going on with Furnace Fest. I tried to use my ways and means to investigate, like, who actually bought the festival. I did not get very far. The only thing I got was this event company called, is it 4941? No, it's 40 something. No, gosh darn it, hold on. I'm gonna have to look in my internet history, because I sure didn't write it down. Let me see. When was I looking up all this? May 11th? Because I was really trying to see, like, okay, who bought it? Because the thing with Furnace Fest last year, and I'm going to have to scroll all the way back to the freaking 11th, is that, you know, it was, a few months after the festival happened, and they were like, hey, in order to pay the bands that were here, we have to sell the company. And it's like, Jesus Christ, okay. You know, because, you know, there was also a thing where it's like, oh, we don't know if we're going to 46 Entertainment, okay. We don't know if we're going to sell enough tickets, so we're lowering the ticket price. And if we don't sell enough, we won't be able to have the festival. So I think they sold enough tickets just to be able to have the festival, and maybe not enough to pay the bands. So they sold it to an unnamed company. But what I was able to do, and I'll tell you about my ways and means, you know, they have the website up now, and it just says copyright 2026 Furnace Fest. And what you can do sometimes, because now there's like privacy settings with a lot of domain registrars, but you can Google who is domain lookup, and you can go on their websites that'll let you do this. And again, this doesn't work with every website because, you know, especially for me with the websites that I have, like Jackson Underground, you won't be able to do it. You'll be able to see the state. Like, you can see it's registered in Mississippi. You can't see anything other than that. It's like, if I go type in jacksonunderground.com. Oh, it's actually okay. I forgot this. It's registered in Alabama, not Mississippi, in the U.S., and that's all you're able to see. The registrar, Squarespace Domains LLC, because that's where I have my thing at. Like, you can't see anything other than that. However, I looked up furnace.fest.us, and I was able to see the registrant contact, and all of that information is there. And I don't think this counts as doxing because, again, this is like really easy to find. But I was able to see that the organization who registered the website, the new website, which I don't know necessarily, I don't know if this is true. This is just what I was able to find, all right? I don't think I don't think I have the scoop, unfortunately, but I was able to see that the Furnace Fest website was registered by someone in this company called 46 Entertainment. So look up 46 Entertainment, and they are, what do you call it? I don't know. Outdoor experience elements. That's what the website says. And, it's got all these pictures from all these events that they've put on. A lot of boot scooting. Oh, geez. Is this Morgan Wallen? Oh, yeah, it is. Stinky. A lot of boot scooting going on. Like, if you go to their services, outdoor experiences are more than just a place for music. It's a way of living. Every aspect, from talent to audio and lighting to vendors and layout, has to mirror the culture of the community on the grandest scale. You can just say grandest. You don't have to put a dash there. At least we know this is probably written by a person, because, girl, you don't have to do that. Our festival and outdoor events team is stacked. We promote, produce, and execute every aspect to embrace the spirit of each gathering, blah, blah, blah. They do corporate. They do house of worship. They do tours, outdoor experiences, venue management, that kind of thing. So this is just, I can't definitively say whether or not 46 Entertainment is the company that bought Furnace Fest. They are the company that has the website, though, because of, again, and I looked up the LLCs for Furnace Fest, because, if you're going to be doing stuff to this scale, it makes sense to have a business entity to do that with. So they have an LLC, and the LLC is registered to the guy, both in Alabama and Tennessee for some reason, is registered to the guy who originally put it on, So I don't know if it's just that 46 Entertainment has been the ones in the past who have done the website, but I do know that they are not the company that has handled the actual operations of the festival in the past, to my knowledge. I think this is new. This is a this year thing. And, just to talk about the lineup, it is giving r/metalcore. Furnace Fest 26 is, in fact, giving r/metalcore. Again, not necessarily a bad thing. Hey, listen, I discovered so much on the metalcore subreddit, all right? I'm not... Ugh. But also at the same time, it's just... I don't know, I feel like Furnace Fest was kind of set apart because there were some bands that were there, at the very least last year, I will say. I can only speak for last year. There's probably other people who can speak for the other years. Where, especially like in the shed, it still kind of felt like a little local, But with this, I don't know. And I don't think I'm the only one who feels this way. Like, I feel like they took all the seasoning out. Like, they didn't even put any salt in there. And, would I like to see A Day to Remember, like, once before I die? Or before the band breaks up, or whichever one comes first? Yeah, I sure would. Would I like to see Under Oath perform Define the Great Line in full? Maybe. I kind of just want to, what the heck is the name of that song? There's one song on there that I like a lot, that I listen to a lot. I like to see them play that song. Saturday's lineup, I do kind of like A Day to Remember, Under Oath, Chiodos, We Came as Romans, Hail the Sun, Emery, which is about to be here, like, next week, so maybe I don't have to wait. Where am I? Gideon, Haywire, Danza's gonna be back. Koyo, I just listened to their newest album. I think they would be fun. No Cure, And I mean, they got some stuff in there. Sunday is they do have Bring Me the Horizon playing Count Your Blessings in full. I think there's like a re-recording of that, which is interesting because I feel like the majority of Bring Me the Horizons fans that they have now, I won't say the majority, I will say the vocal majority that they have now came along like after That's the Spirit, which, listen, I like a couple tracks from That's the Spirit, but it's not Sempiternal. It's not There Is a Hell. It's certainly not Suicide Season. So it's like, it's kind of whatever to me. But seeing that they are going to be playing Count Your Blessings in full, that's going to be interesting. However, Ollie Sykes did get a mild concussion from someone throwing a phone at his head. So that's crazy. Motionless and White, Slaughter to Prevail, Kubla Khan, KK Kubla Khan. They're not beating the allegations. I'm so sorry. They're just not. The Plot and You, No More June, Suicide Silence, Sleeping Giant, Bleeding Through, Throne, Amira, Chelsea Grin, Carnifex, 18 Visions, Body Snatcher, Angel Dust, Microwave, Winds of Plague, Free Throw. What is that? The number 12 Looks Like You, Thousand Blow, Reverent, I Promise the World, Synestia, Bolt Cutter, The Dark.fm, Sledge Mother, Star Witness, Valley of Doves, Beneath All Mercy. There kind of isn't really anything that I would want to see Sunday. So, like, if I were to go, it probably would just be Saturday. Truly, it would just be Saturday. Which, again, it is... they did kind of take all the flavor out. Like, I don't know, man. And it is... I mean, it's not late necessarily, but, at the very least, if I did want to go for just like a day, well, I wouldn't be going alone. I wouldn't go to a festival alone. Like, I'm kind of sort of really not into going to concerts alone anymore. I definitely wouldn't go to a festival alone because I remember being there last year and there were some times where I was like away from the group, just kind of chilling. And I was like, man, I wouldn't want to go to this by myself. Like, that would be such a lonely experience. I don't think I would want to do that. Hopefully. I mean, I don't know. Just Saturday, maybe. Again, I want to see A Day to Remember at least once before I die or before they break up, whichever one comes first. It would be cool to see Hail the Sun. I think I missed Haywire last year, so that would be cool. I would, of course, love to see No Cure again. But, like, again, it's like, I don't know. Maybe see Hatebreed just to say that I did. Say that I was able to, And again, like I said, Emery's coming, like, next week. So it's like, I don't know. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not super enthused by the lineup. And, they just took all the seasoning out. It is kind of giving Hot Topic. Not that that's a bad thing. But time and place, Is Furnace Fest the time and the place? I don't know. Honestly, it's really just the aesthetics of the website that's giving Hot Topic. That's kind of it. That is truly it. So, I don't know. I really would like to know, who the heck bought the actual festival, whether or not it is actually 46 Entertainment. Because, I mean, it doesn't seem like this company, it just seems like they put on the shows. It doesn't seem like they have, like, a portfolio of, I don't know, shows that they put on. It just seems like they provide the technical support, that kind of thing. They handle the marketing, they handle the actual show itself, and that's kind of it. I don't know if they necessarily put in the money to purchase it. And also, this company is based out of Tennessee. It's based out of Nashville, which, again, you can find that in the Who Is. Did I say Nashville? It's not Nashville, but it is Tennessee. You can find this out in the Who Is look up. And, I tried to go on the Wayback Machine onto the Furnace Fest website to see, like, okay, can I find, like, any other, like, copyright information that might lead me to something? And from what I did see from the LLC is that the LLCs, because they're in Tennessee and Alabama. But the only thing about it is that you can look up this information on the Tennessee and Alabama Secretary of State website. You cannot see any of the documents. In Mississippi, if you have an LLC, and pretty much all the documents are public on the Secretary of State website, which I see as a good thing, for transparency reasons. But not Alabama or Tennessee. You have to like pay for them, and it's like, I'm not about to do that. I'll take your word for it. But from what I did see on those websites, they were registered to the same people. Like the LLC hasn't changed hands or anything like that. Although things could have changed. Things definitely could have changed. Hold on. Is this going to take me to it? Oh, I hope so. Okay. Yeah, formation date, and this is Alabama, right? Yeah, Alabama, formation date 2020. Doing business in Alabama since 2021, which makes sense. And then they have annual reports 2022 and 2023. Of course, I can't see. Wait, hold on. Detail page. Okay, no. Yeah, I gotta pay for freaking copies of the documents. I don't have to do that in Mississippi. Like the certificate of formation, I can just get that. Can't do that in Alabama or Tennessee. So, And if I go here to the entity search, hold on. Switch. I mean, it's here. It says it's active and it was registered in 2020. And there's an annual report. And I mean, it says changes history. And, the registered agent it's the guy. It's the man. It's Mr. Man who has been running it. So it's like, okay, that hasn't really changed. Wait, okay, it does kind of give you details. It says the officers are changed, but I don't know what officer means in this context. I don't know if I was looking close enough to any of this. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that doesn't really tell me anything, because again, all this stuff is from like 2024, not even 2025, and definitely not 2026. So it's what is AR? I don't know what that means. AR due date of April 1st of this year. So, it tells me who the registered agent is, the address, and that's kind of it. I can't really see anything more than that. So, unfortunately, my surface level searches weren't good enough. But I mean, I did find 46 Entertainment, and I didn't really see anybody talking about it. But of course, Google has gotten kind of brain poisoned in the last whenever. So I don't even know if I would have been able to find it. But anyways, that's that. Speaking of big shows, where the heck is this? Hello? There it is. Apparently Phoebe Bridgers was doing like a bunch of pop-up shows in random places, which one of these days I will stop referring to Jackson as a random place. Today is not the day. In the context of Phoebe Bridgers, Jackson is a little bit random. It was a huge day for all the lesbians in Jackson. Also, Phoebe Bridgers is like, maybe not a lesbian, but she is big among the leses, right? Like, I'm not incorrect in thinking that. I feel like I am right. Phoebe Bridgers, what's that Girl in Red? I don't know if that's the artist name or like the name of an album, but I hear that's big with the leses. White lesbians, I should say. I don't know what the black leses are up to. Kehlani? Maybe? Black lesbians, call in, we're standing by. What are you listening to? Because I already know what the white lesbians are listening to. I don't know what the black lesbians are listening to. What are the black lesbians listening to? And why do I only know what the white lesbians are listening to? Much to think about. Much to think about indeed. Either way, Phoebe Bridgers came, this past Thursday? There was a sign posted outside of, it was posted in a few different places, but I saw the post from Fondren Guitars, because the show was at Dueling Hall. Apparently it was no phones allowed, so We will not be able to see any proof that the show happened, but I'm assuming it happened. So yeah, it was like first come, first serve. The tickets went on sale that day at noon, so you had to like go and line up. Huge day for unemployed people as well, because the rest of us were at work. And probably wouldn't have been able to leave to go line up at Dueling Hall for however long to buy some tickets. Or I don't know, maybe get your unemployed friend to do it. That would make sense. But I also think they were giving away wristbands. Not necessarily tickets, but like wristbands. And maybe you had to be in person to buy it. I actually don't know. I don't even know how much the tickets cost. I don't really know a whole lot about it. I'm assuming it was fun. Yeah. Listen, I couldn't name you a single Phoebe Bridgers song. I know she's in Boy Genius, and I know she's popular with white lesbians, and that is it. That is all. I also know she looks like, what's that girl's name? Oh my god, she directed Barbie. Actually, maybe I'm making that up. I don't think all white people look alike, by the way. But, oh my god, Phoebe Bridgers? Does she look like Greta Gerwig? Or am I making that up? Greta Gerwig? Do they look like? No, they don't. Wait, hold on. I feel like Phoebe Bridgers looks like somebody. Maybe not Greta Gerwig. Maybe I'm thinking of a different white woman in film. Who does she look like, though? She looks like somebody. I don't know if it's an actress or what. It's not Greta Gerwig, though. Well, hold on. There's this one picture. Maybe. Hold on. Maybe a little bit. Maybe. Okay, there's this picture of her from 2004. Maybe. Also, well, no, Greta Gerwig's not a lesbian. I don't know why. Because the whole thing is that she, didn't she, like, break up Noah Baumbach's marriage? That's what Marriage Story was about? Because Greta Gerwig was the other woman? Hold on, there's something real messy going on there. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe she had her marriage to Noah Baumbach broken. Nope. Or was she with Paul Thomas Anderson at some point? Am I making things up? No. She lives in Manhattan with her husband and writing partner, filmmaker Noah Baumbach, who she married in 2013 after 12 years together. Who the heck? Wait, didn't he not make Marriage Story? Hold on. Who made Marriage Story? I think I'm making things up. Who directed Marriage Story? No, that is Noah Baumbach. I thought that was about his marriage falling apart. But he's with Greta Gerwig and has been for 12 years. Or maybe this happened before that. I don't know. Who's he with before? Jennifer Jason Leigh. And they married in 2005. And then they filed for divorce in 2010, but it was finalized in 2013, but they got together. Wait, what's 2023 minus 12? Hold on, 2023 minus 12. I don't know what I'm doing. 2011. Hold on. They got together in 2011. Oh, but she filed for divorce in 2010. Well, they met during the production of Greenberg. And that came out in 2010. But obviously it was probably in production before then. Anyway, none of this is relevant. Do Phoebe Bridgers and Greta Gerwig look alike? No, not really. Also, is Phoebe Bridgers a lesbian? That's a great question. I don't know. Personal life? She's bisexual. But she's still popular with the lesies. The white lesies. Shout out to the lesbians, by the way. Anywho, Phoebe Bridgers was here. That's literally all there is to it. So I have one thing to talk. Well, I have two more things to talk about, but the highly anticipated for me Periphery album, A Pale White Dot, came out this past Friday, and I've been listening to it. And I will say it's definitely interesting. Number one, the biggest thing about A Pale White Dot, it is under an hour long. It is 47 minutes. That's like 2 scoops. That's basically just 2 scoops, 2 teaspoons for Periphery. Like, I went and looked, and all their numbered albums, so self-titled up till P5, they're all over an hour long. If you combine the Juggernauts into one work, which I do, it's an hour and 20 minutes. And of course, Clear, which is an EP, that was under an hour. But again, that was an EP. But 47 minutes. It's so short. It's so petite. So petite. I will say, I posted my first impressions on my Instagram stories, and I said it's different, but it isn't at the same time, because it does read as Periphery, but it's like, I don't know, it's Periphery if you... Crazy to say. It is true, though. To me, anyways. Periphery if you watered it down, like, a little bit. Just a little bit. You just add, like, a little bit of water. Like, if... I don't know. If Periphery 5 is Periphery concentrate, then A Pale White Dot is adding a little bit of water. What a crazy analogy. I think it's applicable, though. It's... Yeah. And, I mean, they have 2 tracks that are under 3 minutes. Like, this is a petite album from Periphery, which is crazy to think about. And, while I do like it, it's gonna take some time to grow on me. Like, my first listen through, I had some favorite parts of songs, but I don't know. And also, I feel like a lot of Periphery's music is, like, really fun to sing along to. Like, Periphery is prime car singing music for me. I don't know if this album has that to that degree. Again, I've listened to it maybe 4 times, so it will take me a while to, have it marinate on me, but for now, I will say I do like it. I do like it, but, it's different. It's different. And am I gonna have to wait another 3 years for an unwatered down Periphery album? I don't know. But in the meantime, of course, I have, their entire rest of their discography to listen to. But, I don't dislike it. It's just, maybe it isn't enough for me, And again, I feel like P5 took a while to grow on me for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why that was. But I did like the singles. The singles were fun. Everyone Dies Alone and Mr. God. I like Mr. God especially, even though it was less than 3 minutes, which it just... again, 2 teaspoons. Like, that's not enough, It's just 2 teaspoons. But, yeah, I would say I'm gonna give it a month and a few more listens. I'll give it a little while and a few more listens to really get a read on it. But for now, I do wish it was a little bit more substantial. It's like you order a salad and they only give you iceberg lettuce. They don't even give you anything crunchy. They don't give you any meat on top of it. You don't even get any dressing. Well, okay, you get dressing. It's light vinaigrette. It's iceberg lettuce with light vinaigrette, which is like time and place. Again, there's a time and place for iceberg lettuce with light vinaigrette. But I was thinking I was gonna get like a robust chicken salad with, some grilled chicken and some kale and some not sesame seeds, some pumpkin seeds, some cranberry, and perhaps a Caesar dressing. Maybe a poppy seed dressing. Not a light poppy seed dressing, a regular poppy seed dressing. And I got iceberg lettuce and a light vinaigrette instead. So yeah. These analogies that I'm using are crazy pants. I'm not even gonna lie. They are kind of crazy. Oh man. How long have I even been recording for? Not that long. I got at least 40 more minutes in me, especially for what I'm about to talk about. So, while I was on the aeroplane coming back from Boston, I finished Adult Braces by Lindy West, and people have been talking about this book since it came out in March. Now, I, of course, bought it in April. It did come out in March, right? Hello? Yeah, this is the first edition, March 2026. Slay. People have been talking about this since it came out this March, and, on the one hand, it's like I bought this book because there was so much discourse surrounding it, and I was like, oh, I gotta find out. So I jaunted down to my nearest Barnes & Noble. I would have gone to my local bookstore, but the day that I wanted to go, the bookstore was closed. So I was like, I want this book more than I want to buy it from my local bookstore, my locally owned bookstore. So I jaunted on down to my local Barnes & Noble, my nearest, because there's like more than one Barnes & Noble in Metro. The one that was closest to me, which I think is in like Flowood or something. I jaunted on down. I purchased this, paid full price for it, which was full hardcover price, which was, how much is this? Is it on the back? No, it's not. Where's the price? Is it in the front? Yes. 29 United States dollars for the hardcover first edition. And I will say, I did talk about this a little bit in a previous episode, but now that I'm finished with it, I feel like I can give an accurate read on it. And I will say, so the whole thing about this book, it's a memoir, and it follows our author, Lindy West, who, by the way, I wasn't really familiar with her work prior to this, but now I understand that she is, one of these very big names in the online feminist space who also got, the requisite online wave of hate during the anti-SJW post-Gamergate online space that was just awful. As someone who lived through that, good God. And I was like 13 when all of that was going down. So young, so impressionable, and so misguided when it came to the whole anti-SJW rhetoric and the whole Gamergate thing. It was kind of a lot. I have sort of made 2 videos reckoning with that on my main channel. Probably a couple of the better video essays that I've made in my time. But all that aside, she was one of the bigger feminist writers. She was one of the, I don't know if she was a health at every size person, but she was a body positivity person. Back when that was like really radical to be doing that in the, early 2010s. And, she wrote about a lot of that stuff in her time, writing about that. But this is my first introduction to Lindy West. I will say, pros and cons. The pros of this book, it did grow on me the way that it was written, because it is kind of written like a blog post. Like, whatever the opposite of literary fiction is, that is how this is written. Like, it is, that does make it very approachable, very readable. The pacing isn't too off. So, that I would say is a good thing for, being able to follow along with it. It's got all these like footnotes and stuff in there. Not really that many footnotes, but they're like kind of jokey. And it is funny. I wouldn't say laugh out loud funny, but I found some humor and amusement to it. And also by the end of it, I did really find myself maybe not feeling bad for Lindy, but just endeared to her. I did feel a little bit bad for her, but I was definitely endeared to her by the end of it. That being said, Jesus Christ, woman, please stand up, stand up, stand up. Because, there are a lot of things that happen to Lindy as it relates to her relationship with her husband, who is non-binary and has he, they pronouns, but is only referred to as he in this. Like, he's only referred to as they, which is crazy that I just said that in, like, the acknowledgement section. But he's referred to as he, him, like, all throughout the book. But her husband, the stuff that she went through and the reason that she stayed. Was there even a reason for her to stay? And it just reeks. And of course, I'm not really saying this to add on to the growing dog pile that is happening against Lindy West, because there is a section of the book where she acknowledges that people are going to read what's in this and just, feel like she needs saving. And she insists that she does not need to be saved from her situation. So, like, I'll let you have that, but it is just the lack of self-esteem and the desperation to remain in a relationship that is not serving her whatsoever. Not just like, oh, what can you do for me? Just like serving her emotionally or mentally. Like the mental anguish that she goes through. I should probably walk it back a little bit. So Lindy has been married to Ahamfule. I'm probably saying his name right. Oluo, who is I don't know why I blanked out. He's a musician. They've been married for, I want to say maybe like 10 years, 10 or more years. And the interesting thing about it is that at the beginning of their relationship, she is just astonished, just gobsmacked, just so surprised that a thin person could love her. And it's like, for someone who was at the forefront of the body positive movement, Lindy's view of her body, and it's so weird because it goes back and forth. So like, oh, I'm taking ownership of my body, to also I kind of hate it. Like there is that dichotomy there, which is realistic. It is realistic. I will say that much. That is so real. But also at the same time, to be just so, I don't know, just thinking that this man is a gift from above because he's thin and he loves her. Like, I get the impression throughout this book that Lindy only stays with Aham, which I called him Aham in my head, like throughout reading it. So it's going to be hard to, because I saw how his name is actually pronounced and it's like, oh, okay. It's like seeing Hermione for the first time and not really knowing how to pronounce it. But, just, I feel like Lindy thinks that Aham is the best that she can do, and that's just truly not real. Because like in the last episode, I looked up a picture of her, but like look at the picture of her in like the back blurb cover. Like this is a beautiful woman, and not only that, but she seems charming. She has friends. She has people who love her outside of her relationship. A lot of people, she meets up with quite a few people, driving across the country on this road trip, who clearly love her and cherish her as a person outside of the way she looks. So it's like, I don't know. It's really sad. I hate to say it. It's just so sad that she really thinks that because Aham is just this thin person who is just like so special to her, which by the way, I really want to resist saying this, but the way some women will let a medium ugly man ruin their life needs to be studied, and it really all just boils down to self-esteem. But it's that's all I have to say about that. And it's just like, I think she even does acknowledge at some point through the book where she does feel like that's the best she can do. Like if she and Aham were to break it off, she wouldn't be able to find someone else. And the crazy thing about it is that the whole thing about this is that even before they got together, she knew that Aham was polyamorous. He couldn't be tied down to one person. And then, of course, there's all this rhetoric that I saw from him outside of the book, or actually, yes, inside of the book, where it's like, you trying to limit me to one woman is colonizing me, because I want to say he's like African. I don't know where in Africa he's from. I don't think he's North African, but also I don't think he's West African either. somewhere in Africa, maybe East African or Central African. I don't know. He is a brown person, however, from, I don't know if he's from the African continent, but he's black. I could put it that way. What kind? Not really sure. I could look this up. I'm not gonna though. Apparently he has a sister who's like a pretty prominent writer as well, who ends up fronting Lindy like a grand to stay at this hotel in like Key West, but it's not really super important. But yeah, it's just, yeah, you saying that, limiting me to one woman and not letting me explore my polyamory is colonizing me. And it's so crazy because, he was upfront about it, to his credit. But Lindy chose to bury her head in the sand about it because she was just under the impression that, oh, this is just never going to come up. It's never going to come up. I'm going to be enough for him. And he'll never want to go outside of our marriage. And it's like, hey, diva, he said he was gonna in the beginning. So it's like, why are we surprised this is happening? And the way that it just breaks wide open is that, Lindy is a successful writer. She has fans. And her fans informed her that her husband was out smooching on another woman. And this other woman we find out to be Roya, who is, the third in their throuple. And what we don't know, because she definitely buries the lead real bad, you don't find this out until I think more than halfway through the book, it wasn't just Roya, it was another, much younger, thin, pretty woman. And so it's like, yeah, maybe if I were in Lindy's situation, I would, need to drive across the country to find my marbles. But once I'd be coming back, I'd be filing for divorce. But Lindy doesn't do that. She leans into it. And the really interesting thing about it is, I don't know if this is actually, I don't remember reading this. So, I don't know, maybe I just glossed over it. But, eventually, Lindy is bisexual. She's also into women. But the way that the loathsome, just harrowing way that she writes about herself and her sexuality as it relates to men versus how she writes herself and her sexuality as it relates to Roya, worlds apart. Somebody needs to send Lindy West the lesbian master doc, because I think she's gonna find out about comp het if she doesn't already know. If she doesn't already know, first of all, I'd be so surprised. But someone needs to just explain the concept of comp het to Lindy West, and she needs to deconstruct. She needs to decolonize her mindset, and she needs to leave the men alone, because in reading this, it's like I can't even really be 100% sure that she even earnestly likes men in the way that I do, perhaps. I'm a man liker, and I really don't know how to explain it, but because it is kind of hard to explain, because I've never really had to, explain my attraction to men or lack thereof. It just kind of is there, and that's my hetero privilege. I don't really have to explain to people why I like men. I can just do it and be left alone about it. But just the tenderness. And also, of course, Lindy does start out hating Roya because, she's the other woman. But once she actually gets to know her and realizes that, hey, Roya is actually, like, a nice person, and actually, has a crush on me, Lindy, the tenderness and affection with which that she writes about Roya is so different from her relationship to Aham. I think it's because by that time, we are so primed to Aham just constantly betraying Lindy, that it's like a breath of fresh air to hear her talk about someone who actually does seem to actually like her. I feel like Aham's actions are not those of a person who loves and respects their partner. It just is what it is. And by the way, I'm not even, of the opinion of a lot of people who read this book who are like, see, we told you polyamory isn't normal and it can never work out. I personally don't believe that. I think there are probably some polyamorous, polycules out there that make it work. Lindy is not in one of them because it started out as cheating. It started out as betrayal. And, it started out as trust being broken. And honestly, once that happens, I just don't know how you can get it back. It's a mixture of sunk cost fallacy. It's a mixture of low self-esteem and just a mixture of all things bad, to have Lindy remain in this relationship. And honestly, it's so crazy too, because there was the Slate article that was written about this book, either shortly before or shortly after it came out. That was a review of it, which I read it in its entirety, and I thought it was very charitable to all people involved. And I just have to read, hold on. I just have to read the email that Aham Fule sent to this journalist, because, oh my god, it is the worst thing ever. And I am going to censor myself a little. Excuse you? The heck? Wait, hold on. I was able to find a working link. Here we go. Unpaywalled. Thank you. It's like all the way at the bottom of the article, and I'll just read it to you. And I would like to reiterate that this article was very, very charitable to all parties involved, and honestly read as positive to me, in my opinion, for the book anyways. It read as charitable, it read as sympathetic, towards Lindy and Aham and Roya. So here is Aham's email back to this journalist, which I'm going to have to censor a little bit. This is such a crappy thing to do. So, Scotchy? Is that her name? I think so. You intentionally skewed this story to fit your own bitter narrative. Because again, the person who wrote this Slate article also wrote a memoir about her own divorce. And I'm not really sure about the circumstances surrounding her divorce, but she has a notable memoir about her divorce. You intentionally skewed the story to fit your own bitter narrative. You wasted my time and all of our time to write an article that was going to be the same no matter what we said. You absolutely dehumanized me and intentionally diminished my personhood and career. Roya and I were on a shared project in Boston, which, for context, at the beginning of the article, because the journalist spent some time with Lindy, to kind of profile her for this, for the, memoir, I guess. And she said that Lindy was home alone, and Aham and Roya were in Boston on a shared project, which is factually true. They were there on a shared project. She was producing something, he was performing, I'll just read it. Roya and I were on a shared project in Boston? Question mark, or however you worded it, question mark. I was performing 4 shows at the Paramount, and Roya is my producer. By the way, this has great copy pasta material, or possibilities. I just want to say that. I am a person, which, by the way, also, Aham isn't even really mentioned, not even really centered all that much in this article. But he took such issue with it. I'm a person with a life and a great career and a complicated life. With a life, a great career, and a complicated life. And you boiled me down to a cheater who's on a school project making a diorama or some crap because you're mad about your life. You barely wrote about the book. Not true, by the way. Not true. There were several excerpts from the book. You just wrote rage bait article specifically designed to direct hate towards me. You are a crappy freaking person. You're a bitter, untalented, mean girl. And you should be absolutely ashamed of yourself. You flippin' suck. Any signs of this whole name? Fuleje Oluo. And then, of course, Slate reached out about the comment. And he replied, yes, this is so, ooh, if you didn't hate this man reading this book, which I of course did, but if you didn't hate this man reading this book, you hated him after this, because what the heck? Yes, my email was a typo. What I meant to say was Free Palestine. Thank you for correcting the record. How? Oh, I wanted to slam this down, but I know it's going to be loud, so I'm just going to place it down gently. How are you going to deflect from this just insane email to send to a person and be like, actually, I said Free Palestine? Like, how fake and just corny and just insincere and just awful do you have to be to do something like that? The article did not even really paint him in that bad of a light, but this email did 10 times worse in doing that. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Like, and the crazy thing about it as well, in this email, one of Lindy's friends, who is also a writer, was interviewed, and they were like, hey, I'm friends with both Lindy and Aham, but as soon as Lindy gives me the green light, it's curtains for that man. Which wasn't the direct quote. Would have been a little bit more interesting if that was the direct quote, but that wasn't the direct quote. That was the vibe, though. As soon as Lindy says, I'm done, we're going nuclear, basically. So that should really tell you about how Lindy's own circle views this relationship. It's insane. And she just spends so much time in this book trying to convince us, the reader, that yes, I do love myself, and yes, I do love Aham, which I do believe. I believe that she loves Aham. I do believe that. And yes, everything is fine, and this trip was what I needed to really recenter myself, and everything is fine. Lindy, my love, I don't think everything is fine. And I think in 5 years we're going to get another memoir about how her marriage is going to fall apart. And I will be seated. Not, I just think that, but also at the same time, you don't really think about this when you think of modern women. You think of your mom and your grandma doing, not necessarily my mom and my grandmother, but your mom or your grandma enduring a not great marriage because it's just what you did. Not a liberated, free thinker like Lindy, enduring a man being terrible to her. But honestly, I could also see that happening. I could see her sticking it out, even though, again, it's not serving her emotionally, not serving her mentally. It's not serving her at all, and oh jeez, someone send Lindy West the Lesbian Master Doc, please, for the love of God. I think she could benefit from it, and I didn't even really talk about the, whole framing device for this book, which is a road trip across America from, Washington to the Florida Keys in search of a Kokomo that doesn't exist, by the way. There is no Kokomo in the Florida Keys. There is a Kokomo in, Illinois or something like that she does end up going to, kind of serendipitously. I liked the travel segments. There's something, I don't want to say pastoral, because that's definitely not the word to use, but there's something really great about the travel segment, something really cozy about it. And I did really like the travel segments quite a bit. She does go into other things, aside from her relationship and the road trip, like how it was to create Shrill, the Hulu show, which I haven't seen. I haven't read that book either. And how kind of, I don't know, demotivating it became. How her story became less and less hers over time. And how the main character was barely even her by the end of it. That was definitely probably one of the better essays in this book, aside from the travel segments and the parts about her freaking fly and the parts about her relationship. As someone who at one point in time had conceptions that they were going to maybe work in the film and TV industry, and who has maybe, had quite a few stories that are near and dear to my heart, and I can probably foresee that unless, I just completely self-produce something, which is really difficult, you are kind of a slave to network execs when it comes to, stuff like making film and TV, which is deeply unfortunate, versus, writing a book. Which, I mean, even still, the publisher can have a little bit of control when it comes to writing a book, especially nonfiction. But not as much as, making an autobiographical television show for Hulu.com, which is supposed to be going away at some point this year. We're almost halfway through, and she's still here. So, yeah. I will say, did I enjoy this book? Yes. Because I engaged with the material. I engaged with the text. So for that reason, I think it was a good book. Do I think Lindy needs to make some different choices in life and maybe get a new freaking therapist? She's been seeing a therapist this entire time, but her self-esteem issues are still there. Like, listen, I get it. Believe me, I get it. As someone who did have self-esteem issues, like probably every single teenage girl out there, I get it. I can sympathize with Lindy. I can empathize with Lindy in certain aspects. But, and how old is Lindy West? I know it can be a lifelong thing for some people. She's 44. I am almost, hold on, I'm a little under 20 years younger than Mrs. West. And I don't know. And I get it. It's a lifelong thing for some people, building up your self-esteem to the point where you can, not have to accept certain treatment from the men in your life. But I don't know. She really needs to stand up. She really needs to stand up for herself. Please, Lindy. Lindy, please. Anyway. Yeah, she, yeah. And again, the crazy thing about it is that she's not just this horrible, awful, just gutter person who is just so terrible and awful and unworthy of love, like she believes herself to be. She comes off as very funny in this book, very charming. She has lots of friends, in a lot of different places. She seems likable, and she just needs to love herself more than she loves that man. That really is all it boils down to. She needs to love herself more than she loves that man. That has not happened yet. I don't know when it's going to happen. For some women, it happens much later in life. Loving yourself more than you love a man. And by the way, this can apply to anyone. Loving yourself more than you love your partner. It really does need to happen. And hot take for me, I think for married people, your love does need to be conditional. It cannot be unconditional, because that will lead to you accepting all kinds of treatment that you would not accept from some person off the street. Your love has to be conditional, and that condition has to be, you treat me right. That is the condition. If you cease treating me right, I cease loving you. That's the condition. That's that on that. Yeah, I paid money for this book. By the way, if anyone wants to borrow this, I will gladly lend it out. Sure, why not? This isn't exactly one that I just have to have on my shelf. I will say that much. But if you're, local, you want to borrow this to read it, I will gladly lend it out to you. all I ask. Honestly, I'm probably not going to reread this, so dog-ear the pages all you want. Maybe don't write in it, don't highlight things, but if you want to dog-ear the pages, go buck wild. I personally don't care. But after that, thankfully, I took 2 books with me. Ooh, is this it? Yes? Question mark? Yes. So the next book that I'm reading is The Professor by Lauren Nosset. And I really need to know where Lauren Nosset is from because this book is set in Athens, Georgia. And you cannot tell that it's set in Athens, Georgia unless they mention, hey, we're in Athens, or they mention the kudzu. That is it. And Lauren Nosset lives in Tennessee. I don't know where she's from, though. Let me see. She's a professor turned novelist with a PhD in German literature. Where's she from, though? Because I can't see her being from the South. Like, truly. Which, I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but when you live in the South, you know, there's people that live in the South who write about the South, and the South really comes through. Like, even though this isn't necessarily about living in the South, Proud Flesh by Catherine Simone Gray, you know, she lives in Jackson. She grew up here, and she writes about it, and you can really feel it coming through, you know? Let me see. Lauren Nosset is a professor turned novelist and award-winning author of the thrillers The Resemblance and The Professor. Her books have been Amazon, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really say where she's from. I just don't get the feeling that she's from the South, because the way that she writes about the South is devoid of some Southernisms that I think maybe should be there. Yeah, I don't really have much of a bio about her aside from the fact that she currently lives in Tennessee. Either way, I am kind of enjoying it. I do wish I had more time to sit down and read, but got so much things going on. It's like, you know? So yeah, that is probably going to be it for me. I'm trying to think. I find it mildly hilarious that my battery on my recorder decided to die right while I was at the end, because I was about to end anyways. Like, you could have held out for just like a little bit longer. I'm like, oh. Anywho, this has been the 71st episode of the Running My Mouth podcast. I've been your host, Erin. Thank you for allowing me to run my mouth. Follow me on Instagram, because if you're not following me on Instagram, divas, you're only getting half the story. I hate to say it, but it's true. Use my code for a limited time only. Use my code, hold up, JX10 to get 10% off on eargasm.com. Give yourself the gift of hearing protection, or hearing protection, whatever, man. I just need 4 more. I just need 4 more. What are you seeking? Let me know. Submit to my zine seeking on the QR, scan the QR code on screen. Submit to my zine. Let me know what you're seeking, and you might just find it. Closed mouths don't get fed. Remember that. And it is literally about to be 9 o'clock. It's not raining anymore. It was really spooky at the beginning there, but the rain has come and gone so quickly, which I thought was really interesting. Thankfully, otherwise this is gonna be the spooky yuki episode. But yeah, I made food and I folded my clothes. I'm doing great. I'm doing real great. You know, I've been having a really serene Sunday. I've had a really good weekend, and that shouldn't be understated. And hopefully, you all will have a good weekend, the weekend after this comes out, because this comes out on a Wednesday, which is a week, not a weekend. Keep up. Anywho, that's it for me.